Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me for Storytime with Moonie, where I read short stories every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 p.m. for littles in every community. You can follow me on Instagram at Moonie the Space Kitty or Moonie the Space Kitty SFW. The only difference between the profiles are the tags that I use. Through the profiles, you'll have access to the items I sell on my little shop. Now grab your stuffy and get real comfy. Tonight's story is The Dog and His Reflection. Puppy was having the best day of his life. The farmer had just given him his very first bone. It was a magnificent bone, with lots of juicy meat. Although Puppy couldn't wait to eat, he wanted to show it off around the farm first. "What a fine bone," said Hen, as Puppy strutted proudly past. "It's nearly as big as you," laughed Cow. That looks tasty," said Fox. "You wouldn't like to share it, would you?" Puppy quickly trotted off, the bone still clutched firmly in his teeth. He was looking for a place where he could be on his own, with no one else hungrily watching him. So he headed for the woods. Puppy had never been into the woods before. It always looked very dark and scary, but it seemed a good place to enjoy his bone in peace. But the woods were even scarier than he imagined. An owl hooted at him from the trees. "Sorry, didn't mean to frighten you," said the owl. "I was just admiring your fine bone. Make sure you take good care of it." Although the owl turned out to be friendly, Puppy still didn't really like the woods, so he ran all the way through to the other side, where he found lush green fields. Puppy had never been this far away from home. It was exciting, but a little scary too. Soon he came to a wooden bridge over a very clear river. This was very different from the streams around the farm, which were all muddy and full of weeds. Puppy was curious. On the other side of the bridge, a family of rabbits were playing in the field. "The rabbits won't want to share my bone," Puppy thought. "I'll dash over the river and dig into it in peace." By now, Puppy was feeling very hungry indeed. All he wanted was to sit in the soft grass and chew his bone in peace. He wobbled as he started crossing the old bridge. He tried not to look down, but when he reached the middle, he could not resist a quick glance. He was surprised to see another dog peeping out from under the bridge. Puppy went a bit closer to the edge to have a better look. As he did so, the other dog peeped out even further, so Puppy could now see his whole face. In between his teeth, he was also carrying a bone, and it looked just as big and juicy as Puppy's bone. "I wish I could have that bone too," thought Puppy. So he started to growl at the other dog, hoping that it would make him drop the bone and run away. Now the owl had flown out of the woods and come to perch on a nearby tree. He was watching Puppy very carefully. "Oh dear," said the owl with a shake of his head. Puppy began to growl even louder at the other dog. After all, that dog did not look any bigger than himself. But the other dog still refused to run off, seeming to growl back. "It's not a real dog or a real bone," hooted the owl. "Be happy with what you already have instead of being greedy and trying to have even more." But Puppy was not listening. He suddenly let out the fiercest bark he had ever made. Immediately, the other dog dropped his bone. Puppy felt very proud of himself, but then he realized that he didn't have his own bone either. It must have fallen out when he opened his mouth to bark. Yes, there it was, right at the bottom of the river. Puppy sniffed miserably. He noticed the other dog was sniffing miserably too. It was then that Puppy finally realized that the dog wasn't real at all, nor was the bone. The owl was right. It was just himself, reflected in the clear water. Seeing what had happened, one of the little rabbits hopped onto the bridge. "Don't worry," he cried. "Come and play with us." But Puppy did not feel like playing. Instead, feeling hungry and sad, he set off on his own. Just as the wise owl had told him, he should have been content with the gift he had and not greedily wanting even more. The end. Thank you for letting me read to you tonight. Thank you for listening even though I stammered over that story. I hope you feel safe, and I hope you feel loved. Good night, little ones.